Toss a coin to our next guest. He is a longtime caster in the esports scene, League of Legends and Overwatch League. Currently living that freelance life. It is DoA. Really appreciate you jumping on so soon, obviously, after the announcement that you made that you were parting ways with Overwatch League. First of all, I want to ask you, what are you doing with all of your free time right now?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Free time has been eliminated at this point. I'm back on that grind. You know, I'm back on that freelance hustle. So free time, I'll get to free time in 2021 maybe. For now, like I said in the statement, I just kind of want to get involved in as many games as I can, help as many broadcasts as I can, and just kind of go back to enjoying some of the games that I enjoyed before, like League of Legends, Hearthstone, you know, who knows, maybe even SC2, go all the way back to the very beginning. But as far as the Overwatch League goes, you know, like I said, again, I'm not writing off ever working with them again, for sure. I love Overwatch. I really love the concept of what the league is trying to do, but just the way they're going about doing things right now just unfortunately didn't jive with me and the direction I saw for myself within the league. So it was time to go.
When you look at the esports landscape, you as a freelancer now, right, as a caster, was it appealing to you looking at the type of gigs that might be out there right now to make this decision for you at this point in your career?
I think it's one of those things where it just kind of comes from a personal desire, I guess, to just do more, you know? I always look at myself and, you know, again, I'm beginning my 10th year of professional esports casting, so I ask myself a lot of questions about, you know, where do I want to be? And so it's not so much that I perceive there to be, like, a lot more work out there. It's just more a matter of, like, do I feel like I'm moving in a direction that I think would do the most for the esports industry, which has always been my objective from the beginning, pretty much. I always go back to 2012 when I was at IPL and we were doing a StarCraft 2 event, and this kid came up to me and was talking to me, and his dad said that he wanted to be an esports caster when he grows up, and that really made a huge impact on me and changed my whole perception of my own place in esports, and that everything I do should be directed towards making sure that kid, wherever he is now, you know, can do that, you know, can follow up with that. So going back to, you know, again, my decision to leave the league, it wasn't really because of any particular enticing options out there. I kind of just looked at, you know, where I feel like I can do the most for the industry, and also just sort of kind of have fun with some of the things that I used to do, you know, sort of kind of go back to the basics now that we're, you know, 10 years in. It's time to try it out.
Okay, so when can we expect your announcement that you're joining Loaded?
I don't know. I've not talked to those guys yet. You know where to find me. DoAesports@gmail.com. There's my email. I'll give it to anybody, you know. But yeah, who knows? I did Twitch Rivals, League of Legends yesterday. Going to do more with them later in the month. Got some other stuff going that I can't talk about right now, but it's going to be a lot of fun as well. But yeah, just again, just trying to get in as many games as possible and just have fun with it. And outside of video games, maybe even like do a little bit more content on the mini painting side of things. That's something I've definitely kind of fallen in love with over the last few years. And who knows, maybe there's content out there for that too. It is gaming.
So I do want to ask about sort of the emotional side of this. Less leaving
Sure.
the Overwatch League and more parting with MonteCristo. You guys have been a duo, I believe, for 7 years at this point. I mean, I remember watching you all back in the original LCK days, before it was even really called the LCK. So what does it feel like to part in that relationship professionally? You know, obviously I expect you all to remain on personal terms, but yeah, what is that like
we hate
parting
each
that way
other.
professionally?
No, I was going to say, now's the time to
no,
drag him.
yeah,
Tell us how you really feel.
No, it's great. Monty is a brother to me. He's awesome. He's one of my best friends, and this absolutely had nothing to do with any sort of personal rift or anything like that. We always kind of knew that eventually our careers would probably go in different directions, you know, frankly, and we knew that at some point the duo probably had to end as far as like a full-time duo goes. We still definitely intend to work together on projects down the road, you know, if the opportunity presents, and we're, you know, trying to find ways to create those opportunities ourselves too. But that definitely is the hardest part of it, more than anything. Just when you work with the same person, you know, weekly for 7 years, you know, it's weird to think, you know, that we won't be doing those broadcasts together on a full-time basis anymore. So that is the biggest bummer of all of this for sure. But he's got some great stuff going. You know, and I'm pretty happy with the direction I'm going now too, and so yeah, obviously still friends, and I'm sure you'll see us together on broadcast on some sort of show in the future here. But it is a bummer to not be a duo on a big league anymore.
So, we haven't seen this as much from you in the past few days, but we definitely saw it from Monty. He did a wrestling heel turn and took a kendo stick to the Overwatch League's chest. And I think that he pointed out a lot of
what
things.
What a shock from Monty,
yeah,
by
exactly,
the way. Whoa.
Exactly. Always the villain. But we saw him do an entire very long thread about the Overwatch League and its prospects heading into 2020. Everything from saying that there was a little bit of a cultural shift with the departure of Nate Nancer, who obviously recruited a lot of people involved in the league, including him. And then also just the prospect of geolocation, where the league's going, the Overwatch fan base, Overwatch content, really like a very insightful thread that you wouldn't expect of someone who just departed the league. But I would like your sort of take on some of that. I mean, how do you feel the Overwatch League's going to go, and did it feel like things changed a little bit in the second half of this year with Nate gone?
Yeah, I totally agree. I do feel like the vibe definitely changed once Nate Nancer left. I mean, he was the true visionary of the league. He was essentially the creator of the Overwatch League. And so when that vision is sort of taken off from the top, that does present a lot of difficulties, for sure. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think that did kind of change things a bit. I think there's the other part of it, too, where there's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas about the direction things could go. There's a lot of people that have different ideas about the direction that esports should go. And so when you get all of those people together, obviously, eventually one, sort of like thought process is going to win out for one reason or another, and there's going to have to be departures. And I think that's kind of what happened here is there was a real effort to, have everyone sort of work together and all that. But at the end of the day, when visions differ that much, and when the person who's kind of making all those different visions be cohesive under his own sort of idea, like Nate was, when that person is gone, it makes it difficult for all those other pieces to keep working together. So I think what it comes down to a lot was a lot of issues of communication. But yeah, I mean, that just kind of happens. That's not unique to the Overwatch League. That's something you're going to find in like every sports league, in video games, outside of video games, and frankly every business too. So it's just kind of part of life, and sometimes people have to move on. As far as the league goes going into 2020, I think it's a tremendously exciting year for the league. I mean, next year, I think one of the most disappointing things about not being a part of it is that next year is really the year where I feel like we get to see the Overwatch League become what it was kind of meant to become to begin with, is a traveling roadshow, going to different cities, really kind of engaging those city-based fans to begin with, which we had a great crowd in LA, but the crowd in Dallas last year, the crowd in Atlanta, the crowd in LA, all, so much better to have all those, home fans come and enjoy it all. So I think it's going to be a really exciting year. I hold no ill will, towards the people making the broadcast, towards, the people that make Overwatch. Obviously, I wish them nothing but the best. But yeah, it's a defining year for Overwatch League too. That's another part of it, is that this is really the year, and people like to say make or break year a lot. It's a popular phrase to kind of throw around, but I really do feel that this is the year, this is that year for Overwatch League. So it's going to be interesting to see, how it all shakes out.
Let's say teams reach out to you and say, hey, we'd like you to be a part of our homestands. Do you entertain it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. It's like I said, I still like the concept of what the league is trying to do, and any disagreements I have with the decisions that the league made are, with those decision makers and not with the people that are there in the trenches every day at the Overwatch League, grinding it out. All our staff in the arena, the staff that's going to be at the arenas, in all the homestands this year, the casters, the players. Like, I'd love to work with those guys again, and I hope I get an opportunity to, So we'll see. You never know. I can't guarantee anything, but I would definitely not be opposed to it.
DoA, two more questions from me. When you look back on your tenure at Overwatch League in your entire career, how do you summarize it?
I'd say, every experience you have in a league like that, or with an organization like that, is always a learning experience, first and foremost. So, what I'd like to do is go back and be proud of what we helped build. There was a point in time where the Overwatch League was entirely just Nate Nancer, Monty, myself, and Marissa Palumbo from Blizzard, who's also, fantastic at coordinating a million different things at once between Blizzard and the Overwatch League. But basically, having been there from the very beginning and seeing everything develop, I'm proud of what we were able to help build, and regardless of my place in it, I wish them the best again. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of years. It's been interesting coming back to the United States after living in Korea for so long. That's been a big adjustment, but it's neat to be in a place like Los Angeles where there's so much opportunity in esports across so many different games with so many different developers, and that's going to be something that I'm glad that I have an opportunity now to explore a little bit more.
You know, we saw the announcement throughout the holidays as well that a lot of talent were coming to the Overwatch League for the first time. Everyone from ZP, who finally earns his due and gets promoted as he should, but also Kusta and Jake retiring and joining on as well as for Color, and Brandon Sideshow being sort of promoted into the commentator role from the analyst desk role. Does it feel a little bit to you like a passing of a torch? Obviously, you've done this for a long time, and some of these people are a little bit newer than you are, or not as high profile as you are. Does it feel like that to you?
I guess it does to a certain extent. You know, and again, you know, I wish those guys nothing but the best. It's going to be a challenging year for sure. I think when we've seen in the past, whether we look at traditional sports or pro sports, when you bring that pro off the team and onto the desk or the cast, that's a tough transition to make sometimes. So they're in for a lot of work. They're in for a lot of grinding. You know, they have people there who can help support them, which is good. I'm really ecstatic that ZP is finally getting a shot to be in the Overwatch League. He's put in a lot of work for a lot of different years, so I think he'll do well. But yeah, I think it is a little bit of a changing of the guard, and that presents its own difficulties here and there. But I guess we'll wait and see what happens.
DoA, my last question. Obviously, I have the utmost respect for you and your work. We nerd out about sports media and esports media all the time. Describe to us your ideal workload in 2020. What would be on your plate? I know you mentioned a couple of titles earlier, but like, what would ideal roles be for you, for those out there listening that might be hiring managers?
Well, I mean, I guess, casting is always my first and foremost thing. I love being on the mic, calling the game, and at the end of the day, I have my favorite games, but it really is just competitive video games, just two people fighting each other in a video game. That is the best thing about esports, and the marvelous thing about this industry. Is something I've loved since I was like 5 years old, so being able to call that action and watch these people do amazing things in these games is always my favorite thing. I've done some desk stuff and some hosting in the past, and it'd be great to expand that skill set a little bit more and put more work into that side of things. And one thing I did get to do at the Overwatch League in the first year, quite a bit actually, was be part of writing some of the sketches for Watchpoint and kind of working on developing some of those shows. So that's something I'm definitely going to be looking into too in the future, is actually writing and making shows. It's something I've wanted to be more a part of, but just haven't had a lot of time because of the Overwatch League. And so now that I'm kind of broken away from that a little bit, there's time to pursue that too. So yeah, a lot of opportunities, and we'll see what happens.
Well, he's a very easy person to find for everyone looking for a caster out there. DoA joining us here on ESPN Esports. Thank you very much for joining us, especially so soon after the Overwatch League announcement.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks.